I would find myself being quite tired, um, very limited socially, partially because of my limitations in food. And for me, food and social are always correlated. And just wanting to be lead a very quiet life. I was working, but I had to be very careful in terms of any smells, sounds, loud voices, or repetitive voices. Enjoying life and feeling pretty well, but limited in being outside of my house, basically. When I originally was diagnosed with Lyme, I spent a week in Stanford Hospital. They put me into the neurology department, and at the end of that week said, "We think it's all in your head," which, oh my gosh, is a terrible thing to hear when you have real symptoms and feel like you're a fairly well functioning individual. But I got linked up with a neuropsychiatrist at Stanford who did self hypnosis, which was amazing with my seizures. So, with that self hypnosis, I think I really started being open to various and alternative ways of healing. So, my regular doctor was a naturopath who had worked I originally met him working in a Lyme clinic with a pretty reputable physician. So, I was with Dr. Greeter in San Francisco, who specialized um, in Lyme and hard to diagnose items. So, not my regular physician. You probably don't want me getting started on some of the Western medicine pieces where it was all symptoms, but I was fortunate enough early to get into a system where they were a believer in Lyme and in the issues. And I think my first appointment, he sat with me for 2 hours and talked about symptoms, how to address it, and then it did a full scale of tests. He was looking for alternative ways as well as I was. I went through a pretty strong course of antibiotics. As soon as I started on medications and had been diagnosed as Lyme, I felt so much better. But I realized how sick I was because I kept feeling better and better and better and better and still not good. Of course, none of the medical help that I got was under insurance, um, all outside of it. And I think, thankfully, I could get quite a few of the prescriptions under my health insurance, but I was spending thousands of dollars a year. It was probably under 10,000, but pretty close to that. And I think I spent a lot less than a lot others. One of my significant issues was around nuts, which I developed when I was sick. I couldn't smell a peanut. I couldn't get near a peanut. I couldn't touch a peanut without my throat tightening up and feeling like I was at a point of being at a very significant medical issue. And within the 6 months, and it was probably the first thing I tried, was touching a peanut, smelling a peanut. And by the end of the 6 months, I was eating peanut butter. And yeah, I had oddly vinegar, which is pervasive through food. Anything with yeast was an issue, and so I was able to bring back any products that have yeast in it. And then some of the secondary issues too, around the Tourette's like symptoms and jerks, it would help as well. It literally felt like a miracle to me, in terms of how quickly symptoms went away and functioning. It gave me a lot of the life that I wanted back. Eating regularly again, feeling like I could be social without having the Tourette's like symptoms. I can't not be excited about it because it was so transformative to my life. One of the coaches, while I was in the process, gave me an analogy, which I've used time and time again. Termites do a lot of damage to a house. Western medicine basically can kill the termites, but there's nothing in Western medicine that rebuilds the house that the termites have done damage for. So DNRS is all about rebuilding the house. And that's been such a thoughtful analogy for me, as well as the multiple friends and friends of friends that I've talked about the process and who have gone through it. I think as I began to feel so much better over the course of the 6 months, it became more and more difficult to consistently practice my hour a day. I would do it in 20-minute increments 3 times a day, which worked for me. It took me a while to get into a practice of when to do it, but just keeping up with it. One of the things in the process that I wish that I had taken advantage of or had really paid for initially is when I needed coaching the most, I didn't have the ability to muster up the courage to call and make an appointment. So as I think about how I would go through the program if it was again, I would have had, prepaid or had coaching included in the package so that when it was there as a resource when I needed it without really having to reach out. So some consistency throughout those 6 months, even a monthly check-in, I think would have been really helpful for me. It gave me tools that really complemented things that were already important in life to me, my spiritual life, my values. There was nothing in the process that conflicted with it, but it really added more depth onto it. I want my best life to be ahead. I don't want to always look back. And so I have literally, over these last few months, been thinking about dreams and what do I want? How do I make it happen? And what is exciting for me? And I think it's not only helpful for me and just an excitement about life and a love for life, which I always want to have, but it's something that's so fun to bring others into um, and to talk about rather than the dog or the weather or something like that, to have really topics that make me smile, that make me excited um, to see what the next phase will bring. There is really nothing to lose by going through the program, no matter, if you have significant life issues or need some help along the way. Just an encouragement to try it because it's life changing.